Welcome to Western Perspective. I'm Madeline Lombardi. This week we spoke with Symone Wheatley-Hay about her continued battle in dealing with the West Australian education system on behalf of the mistreatment of neurodivergent children and what she believes should be done to improve the sector. Symone recently received a letter from current Education Minister Tony Buti, which outlined a potential reshuffle of the proposed inclusive neurodivergent expert panel promised by former Education Minister Sue Ellery. The problem with Buti's new plan is that it imposes decisions for a community which have traditionally been silenced and marginalised by experts without lived disabilities.
So we recently heard from Minister Buti, and we were sent a letter in response to some correspondence that Minister Ellery sent us after the protest. After the protest, and I've talked about this with Ivan in an interview before, there was an agreement in place to establish a neurodivergent expert panel to consult on issues to do with neurodiversity at school. And it was intended to be comprised of neurodivergent adults who are obviously best placed to advise on these issues because it's their community. We heard from Minister Buti, and we've been advised that unfortunately at this stage their intention is to turn it into a disability and inclusion committee and to seek out the advice of disability experts and disability advocacy organisations.
What are the harms in having a panel that isn't focused on disability inclusivity when it's people that aren't represented in that community making decisions for people who have to have their voices amplified in those communities that aren't being represented in the way that they should be, in that sense?
Yeah, so it's a really complex issue. It really stems back to the disability rights movement, the social model of disability, and a human rights focus towards disability. The sort of motto and purpose for being of that movement is nothing about us without us, and this is the opposite. It's really decisions being imposed on a community that has traditionally been silenced and marginalised by experts. And traditionally experts, when you're talking about disability, there has been so much harm done to the disabled community, neurodivergent children, neurodivergent adults, in the name of expertise. So much harm, so much trauma, so it's just completely inappropriate. It would be the equivalent of having a cultural group represented by someone who is not from that culture. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
So what are you hoping that Mr. Buti does in response to this now that the protest is over? There's been comments made by Sue Ellery as well. He's not keeping to his promise. What is kind of the hope that he turns around and makes a better decision when deciding the outcome of this?
So fundamentally, we think what's potentially happened is that in the overlap and in the transfer of a portfolio, there's just been a misunderstanding. So we're hoping very much that Minister Buti then turns around and goes, wow, this is not what was originally agreed, this is not a sort of ethical decision to make, let's go back to the original plan and sort of consult with neurodivergent adults, neurodivergent-led organisations, they're like Yellow Ladybugs, like the ICANN network, like Reframing Autism, all of whom are organisations, are experts, but are led and comprised of neurodivergent people. For us, the main thing is they just have to listen to neurodivergent adults. They're the ones who know best. They're the ones who've been through school. They're the ones who have had their successes and had their letdowns by systems. And they're the ones who can say, this is what I needed, this is what your students need.
They're the ones that can give the correct response and correct outcomes for these students as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And neurodiversity is a culture. So this is a really interesting point about neurodiversity. It's a way of being. It's a cultural identity, it's a community, and it's a really vibrant, valid and established one. And to make decisions about that community outside of that community is just inappropriate.
I agree with you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
You can read part 1, 2 and currently part 3 on WAMN News' Extra News Club. Subscribe and keep independent journalism strong. Now for Perth's weather update, the outlook will be warm over the next few days as the summer heat continues to rise. Monday 30 degrees, Tuesday and Wednesday 31, and Thursday a warm sunny 33. Meanwhile, overnight temperatures will be hovering between 14 to 20 degrees during the week. And that's all from Western Perspective this week. My name's Madeline Lombardi and I'll see you all next Sunday. It's back to you, Ivan and Melly.
Thanks, Maddie. And now here's Leo with what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thanks, guys. On 6 News, New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet remains under pressure from some to resign over the Nazi uniform scandal. Pope Francis delivers a final blessing to Cardinal George Pell ahead of his burial here in Australia. And warnings about grass fires next to a highway on the New South Wales-Victoria border. Watch live right now on our YouTube channel and our website, 6newsau.com for now there, guys. It's back to you.
Thanks, Leo. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly and myself, we wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.